Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning on this chilly Friday morning. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. My name is Happy Nginguma Khumalo Ngidi. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer from Proudly South African, but today I also wear a facilitator hat. So I will be navigating the program for this webinar this morning, webinar around localizing innovations and opportunities in the agro-processing sector in South Africa. We appreciate your time this morning and a warm welcome to all of you on all platforms we're using for this webinar. And a special welcome to our esteemed speakers this morning, our stakeholders who have heeded the call and showed up for this discussion following our request as Proudly South African for them to come and share with us their insights into today's discussion. And so we are live on this official platform, but we're also on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, and we're also on X. And so there is a Q&A platform and an opportunity, but as our speakers go through, what they're sharing with us, you're more than welcome as a delegate and as an attendee to send us your comments and or questions, and we will deal with those as we go along. And so without further ado, just to say that for the purposes of some of those of you who may be, excuse me, who may be, in our webinar for the very first time as Proudly South African, we generally don't want to assume that you know what Proudly South African seeks to achieve, who we are, what our mandate is, and all of that. And so the CEO of Proudly South African will take us through a comprehensive presentation about our mandate, but we were established in 2001 from the Presidential Jobs Summit that was hosted or convened by Datu Madiba. So we are Madiba baby, so to speak. We are the country's official buy local advocacy campaign, which is aligned with government objectives of combating the triple challenges of poverty, inequality, and unemployment, a persistent problem, as it were. And so Proudly South African is a member-based campaign or organization, and only companies that we've vetted, are approved and are entitled to have carte blanche to carry our logo on the marketing collateral, on the communications platforms, and all of that. And all these companies and products, rather, must meet local content thresholds and above all have good quality standards, amongst others. But I will leave all of that to Mr. Mashimbe, who will take us through that just now. We will shortly hear from him, and he will then be followed by Dr. Ngobile Masondo, who's senior researcher from the Agricultural Research Council. Shortly thereafter, we will hear from Khaladi Sitoha, who is Innovations and Technology Consultant from the Small Enterprise Development Agency, SEDA. And last but not least, we will hear from Ms. Shipra Chisa, who is Director of Programs from the Grasham Machel Trust. And so without further ado, please, allow me to welcome Mr. Eustace Mashimbe, who is the CEO of Proudly South African, to please indulge him. CEO, welcome.
Okay, good morning. Thank you very much for the opportunity given to me to present to this webinar. As introduced, my name is Eustace Mashimbe, and I'll be taking you briefly through what the campaign is about and why we convene such sessions, and what the contribution is that you can make as business people, as consumers, and as those living within the borders of this country. So we're a buy local campaign, and we were formed on the back of the fact that the country has three main challenges. The first one being unemployment. I mean, at the heart of all our problems, I mean, the inequality is bred by the fact that a lot of our people remain unemployed, and we have a lot of people living below the poverty line as a result of them not having employment opportunities. And I mean, these were the numbers at the end of Q1 of 2024. Where the unemployment, continues to persist at above 32%. But if you look at the expanded definition, we have close to 42% of those who should be in employment continuing to be unemployed, and it's a ticking time bomb with the most affected being the youth, as well as Black African women. And so entrepreneurship remains very important, and hence the need for us to convene sessions like this and webinars like this, so we can again, re-emphasize what can be done to ensure that we keep up with our peers across the world. If you look at developed economies and the contributions made to the GDP by SMEs coming from all sorts of industry, including agro-processing, you see that the contribution made by SMEs is at as high as 90% in most of those economies, whereas with us, we are still at a low 45%, and some are arguing that it's even slightly less now, with a lot of businesses having closed down during and after the COVID-19 pandemic. And so if you think of agro-processing, it is part of the broader manufacturing industry and the broader manufacturing sector, which has lost its share of the contribution because of reduced economic activity and reduced buying, which has led to reduced manufacturing in the country. We had manufacturing contributing up to 21% to the GDP in 1994, reduced to 13% in 2021, just after the pandemic. And so there is a need to really ensure that we get manufacturing to the levels where it was previously. We had about 1.8 million jobs coming from manufacturing, which includes, as one of its subsectors, agro-processing, and now accounting for only 1.4 million jobs. If you think of the contribution that can be made by agro-processing, if you think of the value chain in agro-processing, all the way from the farmers who benefit from the minute that first crop is planted, all the way to harvesting, to when it's then taken to whatever sector of that agro-processing industry where it's going to be reprocessed and further processed such that it ends up as products that we can consume. There are many jobs across all of those value chains. And so every time a purchasing decision is made to buy an agro-processed product or any product that comes from outside of South Africa, you have created a job in the country from where it comes from. But when you buy a product made in South Africa, you're contributing to jobs all the way from the farms where the first crop is planted and across that whole value chain to when it is ultimately delivered to that retailer or wholesaler or whoever it is that you buy the product from. And so all of those jobs need to be preserved as a result of and through our purchasing decisions. And so we're a buy local campaign. And this phenomenon of wanting people to buy that which is locally made is not unique to South Africa. It's a global phenomenon that exists, especially in the developed economies that I spoke about, where the contribution from SMMEs is as high as 90%, where government just creates a conducive environment, an enabling environment that makes it easier for those who are able to invest and do business in the country to prosper and to do well. But the bulk of the work really comes from the private sector, but equally the private sector needs to be supported. Those investments need to be backed up by demand that comes from us as consumers. And all over the world, you have buy local campaigns for countries, regions, and towns. And in fact, in countries like the US of A, you have legislation dating as far back as 1933, and even up to now in 2021, when the last president came in, or the current president came in April 2021, he then signed into law within the first week of coming into office Buy American provisions, again confirming the need for Americans when buying things that they're able to produce themselves, to buy those that are made in the US. The trade wars between China and the US are mostly as a result of the fact that China wants to send its products to the US, and the US is saying, if we're able to make it ourselves, we don't want you to bring it into our country. And so it just shows you and reconfirms the importance of having buy local campaigns and buy local provisions to drive the growth of the economy, the stimulation of the economy, and the creation of jobs. And so these are some of the benefits of driving localization or having buy local campaigns. When you buy from those factories, when you buy from those who further process those products that come from our agricultural industry. Like I said, there are jobs that are created across that whole value chain. But as you continue buying from them, it means they must plant more, they must harvest more, they must process more. And so jobs will be created in that process. And we live in a country where a lot of our young people, like I said, when I showed you the statistics of those affected, mostly affected by unemployment, it's the youth. And so when they are then given an opportunity to go into these industries and to get job opportunities as a result of us buying from those factories who then recruit them, they acquire skills. We need more entrepreneurs. We need more people to come out, especially from this industry, with products. And those products, as they're supported, will enable these young people who will have acquired skills in the factories, etc., to employ other people. And as a result, those people will also acquire skills, and we'll have an empowered society where people's living standards can improve. In order to ensure that our understanding of the importance of localization is really what it is, and in order to deal with naysayers, we keep saying buying local is not the magic wand that we say it is. It's not a silver bullet that we say it is. We then commissioned a study with the Pan-African Investment and Research Services Institute of Dr. Iraja Bedian, a renowned economist, for them to test what the impact of investing in manufacturing would be. And manufacturing, broadly speaking, like I said, all its subsectors, including agro-processing. And just with 10% increased investment in manufacturing, you are going to have a 13% increase in the contribution to the GDP. That will be an additional 13% to our GDP, 9% increase to our fiscal revenue, an 8% increase in employment creation, with about 75,300 jobs created in manufacturing in that specific industry. But when I spoke earlier on, I spoke about the value chain. And so the two industries that will also benefit from any manufacturing activities, mining because of the raw materials it provides for packaging, etc., as well as agricultural industry because of the raw materials that come from there. Especially if you talk about an industry like this one, a lot of the jobs will really come directly from the agricultural industry. And so just with 10% increased investment in manufacturing, you're going to have all of those key economic indicators pointing to the fact that the economy will benefit and mostly that jobs will be created. And that 10% increased investment can only come from 10% increased buying of locally made products. And so, it makes sense that if the statistics are looking like this, just with 10% increase consumption of locally made products and investment, think about what the numbers would look like if we get it to 15%. If we got the investment increased to 20% and 30%, the numbers would keep going up, and ultimately we would then have more and more people employed and the economy starting to reap the benefits of our purchasing decisions. And so the focus areas for ProudlySAWeb can include buying that is done by the public sector. We look at buying done by the private sector. So we want both government and businesses. And businesses, I mean small businesses and big businesses, to buy local. But we're also appealing to the general public, ordinary consumers, to look at their purchasing decisions. When you go into your favorite retail store and you're looking for your agro-processed product, we want consumers to take home a product that says made in South Africa, or that has the Proudly South African logo, because that way you're supporting the creation of jobs in our economy. Proudly South African also has a responsibility to ensure that we promote accessibility of locally made products and services, that those in the private sector, in the public sector, as well as ordinary consumers who want to buy local know where to find these products. And so it's important that we don't just only say to people, buy local, but we make it easy for them to find those products. And in my later slides, I'll show you, some of the work that we do to ensure and promote this accessibility. And our program director touched on some of these, but I think it's important that maybe I delve deeper into it. Every time you come across a product that carries the Proudly South African logo, irrespective of whatever industry it comes from. So if you pick up a can of baked beans or a poultry product, whether it's chicken nuggets that are further processed and are part of this broader industry that we're talking about, you will know when you pick up that product, if it carries the Proudly South African logo, that it stands for these 4 key criteria. The first one that is obvious for everyone to see is the fact that the logo is made up of the colors of the flag of the Republic of South Africa, telling you instantly that the product is made in South Africa using raw materials and ingredients and components that are sourced in South Africa. There are instances where some of these raw materials and ingredients are not necessarily available in South Africa. And so what we ask our members to do is to, as best as possible, when they bring it in as raw materials, such that the conversion thereof and the value addition happens in South Africa, so that jobs are created through that value addition and manufacturing process. And so products that carry our logo are made in South Africa and contribute to the creation of jobs. The tick on the logo tells you instantly that the product is of a high quality nature. It meets the standards prescribed for that specific industry. If it's a food product, because today we're talking about agro-processing, it meets the standards around food and health safety. And it's safe to consume, and we can vouch for those products. And most importantly, it gives you as a consumer the assurance that you can trust that you're not only buying a product made in South Africa, but you can trust that it will satisfy the need for which you are buying it. The other 2 are also important, but softer issues. Companies that affiliate with us have to ensure that they help us preserve the environment and that they treat their workers fairly and in accordance with the labor legislation of the country. I want to touch on the role of Proudly South African if you think of the broader business support ecosystem. Those of you who are in business will know that when you start your business, you want access to information, you want to be assisted with how you register your IP and protect your trademark, you want access to funding, you need to be assisted with how you're going to be efficient and work productively and remain compliant with statutory obligations. But the most important thing, you start your business so that you can sell a product or sell a service. And the important thing is access to markets. And that's where Proudly South African comes in. If you look at the entire ecosystem, we're right at the heart of it. And for us, it's about ensuring that if a product is made in South Africa, if a service is rendered within the borders of South Africa, utilizing that which is sourced, whether it's equipment, etc., sourced in South Africa, that we get that product to be supported. And so whether your product is an existing product, it's a new product, you are a new entrant as a new entrepreneur coming in with innovation, you're a transformed entity, Black-owned business and ticking some of those transformation, agenda boxes. Our role is to ensure that we support you. As long as your product ticks the 4 boxes I spoke about and the product is of a high quality nature made in South Africa, our role is to ensure that we get those who buy that product to buy from you. And so we've segmented our access to market programs into that which we do for the public sector, for the private sector, as well as through our e-commerce platforms. We have started working towards launching our own e-commerce platform, and that should happen in the next couple of weeks, and we will announce it on our social media pages and in the media when we're ready to launch. But in the meantime, what we've done is we have concluded third-party agreements with third-party online stores where these stores and these e-commerce platforms have agreed to sell Proudly South African products on their respective platforms. And this includes those that you see on the screen, as well as the likes of Take-A-Lot, who are in the process of developing a Proudly SA catalog. So as a member of Proudly South African, you will get favorable rates. And in fact, in some instances, you will not pay the fee that others pay to list on these platforms as a result of the partnership we have. And that is part of the value proposition and the benefit of being a member of Proudly South African, is that you've gone through a vetting process, you join, we help take your products to consumers, and these third-party platforms are part of the benefit that we have negotiated and put in place. Even those who are targeting other businesses, because sometimes people want to sell on online platforms, but not necessarily selling to consumers, but selling to businesses. There's this B2B partnerships that we're concluding where the likes of BizMed are able to list Proudly South African products, which are then sold to those who are looking to buy for their businesses, pharmaceutical and medical related products. And these are just some of the platforms. So in the private sector, we even launched a campaign known as Will You Commit, where we've asked the private sector to look at products that they are, buying on a day-to-day basis. And some of those are industries that are doing relatively well, even, in these tough economic conditions. Banks, insurance companies, privately owned schools, privately owned hospitals. These are people who, despite the tough economic conditions, continue to do well, and their responsibility is to ensure that they contribute to the creation of jobs, such that the customers that they are looking for, the customers that they have, can continue to afford their products. So we've asked the banks to look at furniture and buy this locally, look at where the uniforms of their staff is coming from, and look at the stationery that they utilize. Same with the independent schools, look at the desks and cabinets and the uniforms and furniture that is bought by the independent schools. Hospitals, a lot of pharmaceutical products and medical devices and medical technology products, a lot of beds, a lot of linen, a lot of uniform is worn by their staff. Where is that coming from? We've asked them to buy it locally, and as they give us these commitments to buy these things locally, those benefits then go to our members. That is the benefit of being a member of Proudly South African. Retailers, we're talking about Agro-Processing today, predominantly bought and sold at retail platforms, especially physical retail platforms. And so we've asked them to give shelf space to agro-processed products such that consumers can easily find them. When consumers walk through those aisles and they're looking for their products, it must be easy for them to find a product that carries the Proudly South African logo, so that those who want to heed our call to buy local can easily find those products and take them home. And as they consume them, develop an affinity towards those products and continue buying them. Same as manufacturers. I mean, we are pleading the case for manufacturers, but they also must play a role. Where is their packaging coming from? Where are the raw materials coming from? They need to make sure that these are bought locally. So these are some of the instances where we've had successes, and we've even created a portal where buyers can go in and register and find suppliers, and as they give us commitments to buy locally, and as they identify items that they want to buy locally, we will identify suppliers in our book, suppliers that have been vetted, suppliers that they can trust, because sometimes the buyers are saying, we don't know whether to trust this product or not. This new product that you want us to list, this detergent or soap product or food product that you want us to buy. We've never seen it before. Can we trust that it will fly off the shelves, that consumers will find it, fulfilling and nutritious, etc.? We then vouch for these companies because they go through that vetting process. So companies that affiliate with us then get the benefit of being found by the buyers of retail and other corporates, who then buy from them as a result of the commitment we give them, that the products they are buying, they can be trusted. As I conclude the private sector segment, I want to quickly touch on the fact that there are other benefits outside of the ones that I've demonstrated, where we get products to be given shelf space, etc. We have a strategy that says, if there are exhibitions and platforms where buyers will go to look for products, a third-party platforms, who will get our members to get space. They will buy the space and take some of our members there. We also curate and host our own expos, the flagship being Buy Local Expo in March every year. We take a lot of agro-processed products there. We do matchmaking between the manufacturers who affiliate with us and those who make purchasing decisions. We curate and host our own local wine expo, which takes place 2 weeks from now, 26, 27, 28 of July at the Prison Break Market. We're taking 30 wine brands of our members, part of this industry, who are then going to showcase their products to consumers over the 3-day period. But on the first day, on the 25th, we host buyers. There's a matchmaking process that is underway, where we're matching these products with restaurant owners, with hotel groups, with liquor traders, with bottle stores, with retailers who do sell wine products to their customers, for them to find these products and list them on there. And these are just some of the benefits of being a member of Proudly South African. And this is part of our targeted access to market programs, where we target industries, we look at what they're buying, and we link them up with our members. In the public sector, we do a lot of lobbying, and members of Proudly South African, as of next month, will appear on CSD with the logo, the Proudly South African logo next to them, so that buyers in government, when they do their search to find suppliers, can easily see which supplier sells a locally made product and which one sells a high quality locally made product that government can buy, because they will have the logo next to them. For consumers, which is our last focus area, we do the same thing. We find expos where consumers go look for products. We take our member products to platforms like this. What you see there on the image is what we do with the Delicious Festival, hosted every year in September by the Delicious group. And what we do is we take some of our members were in the space to go and sell food and beverages products, which are part of this industry. And they are then able to access the market, which is in the form of about 40,000 festival goers who attend that festival over the 2-day period and sell their products and showcase the best of what South Africa has to offer, at no cost to them. The fee that you pay to us is all that we require from you as a member of Proudly South African, and you then benefit from all of these platforms, including getting your product found and known by consumers, but benefiting by association, because as we say to consumers, look for a Proudly South African product and they find your product carrying the logo. They know that this is what they've been asked to buy, and then you benefit from those transactions that come about as a result of our interventions. So using the logo on your product is very important. Using the logo on your website, on your letterhead, and every other collateral that you have in place that seeks to promote your business is very important. As I conclude, I want to quickly touch on this. There's a perception out there that it's expensive to become a member of Proudly South African. It's not. For those of you with businesses that still have turnover that is less than 5 million rands, all you need to pay is 500 rands, excluding VAT, per annum. And the most that we charge is 100,000 rands, and this is for companies with a turnover of 100 million rands and more. I want to quickly play an ad that sort of sums up what I've spoken about, but in the voices of the children, where they're talking about the importance of the different industries, and you will see agro-processing is one of the industries that is touched on. But the most important takeout from this video that I want to play off, because that's our latest campaign, is for you to be mindful of your purchasing decisions as you make them today, because they're going to have an impact on the economy tomorrow, and they will influence the kind of economy that is passed on to the next generation.
There's a voice that is calling, loudly calling, day by day, the voice of the future.
When I started my business, all I wanted was to create jobs and a legacy for the next generation, because I see opportunity when others see impossibility.
It all started with a thought and then a seed in the garden, which grew into my very own farm that feeds the whole nation daily.
Cotton, silk, and a little bit of treasure, I create masterpieces that give South Africans an identity, comfort, and confidence, because when you look good, you feel good.
From the factory workers to the warehouse and then over the seas, I want to show the world what Proudly South African looks like. It all started with just some ink on paper and inspiration to bring people together. With my furniture, I now help create spaces that are beautiful, comfortable, and authentic to human light and connection.
I've always been driven by curiosity. It fueled my dreams to create automobiles that accelerate our nation into greater possibilities and the beauty of the unknown.
I was born into a rainbow nation. My life has been full of colors and mixed flavors. And when I started my bakery, I wanted to share the joy with the world and with South Africans in particular.
All I ever dreamt of was to be a bird and fly high. And now I have the wings to help others fulfill their dreams of flying high too.
But it can only be a dream until you make it a reality. All they need is your faith, your trust, your loyalty, your appreciation.
And most importantly,
Your support.
because supporting local businesses
Helps create jobs
and secures our future.
South Africa, their future is in your hands. So what are you going to do about it? Be proudly South African. Buy local to create jobs.
And that's our campaign. And so if you want to become a member of Proudly South African, if you're not yet a member, please join. Go to our website, proudlysa.co.za. There is a membership tab for you to complete your details, and our team will then contact you. Alternatively, write to us, info@proudlysa.co.za, or get hold of us on 011 327 77778, or follow us on any of our social media pages. We are available on all platforms. And that is the contribution that we would like you to make, to be a part of the campaign, either by registering your own business or by buying that which you are taking to market, or that which you require for your business locally. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Eustace, much appreciated. I would imagine that those of the delegates that are online have a better appreciation of the work that Proudly South African does and what we are essentially mandated to do. I'm hoping that those who have businesses that are already in operation may want to consider joining the Buy Local movement, joining the movement to be able to benefit from all of these benefits that you've shared with us online. Just a fraction of the benefits, actually. We would need the whole day to unpack all of them, given the work, the magnitude of the work that we do as Proudly South African. For those of you who may have questions or need clarity on any aspect of the CEO's presentation, please feel free to put your questions on the Q&A tab, and I'll keep an eye on it, and I will then respond to that. Thank you so much, CEO. And so as we move on with our program, we are, just by way of reiterating that we are talking localizing innovations and opportunities in the agro-processing sector of the country. And that we know that agro-processing refers to manufacturing activities that produce consumable food, feed, fiber, fuel, industrial raw material from agricultural produce. Many of them, the CEO did allude to that. So this webinar is designed to provide existing and future entrepreneurs in the agro-processing space with comprehensive insights into the latest trends, technology advancement, what to look out for, investment opportunities, and so much more. And so please join me as I give a warm welcome to our next speaker, and that is Dr. Ngobile Masondo, Senior Researcher from the Agricultural Research Council, and she will be looking into initiatives by the Council, the economic impact and contribution to the GDP, and examples of successful localized innovations from her office. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing from you. Please take it away.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning to all the speakers and the delegates that are joining us. Just quickly sharing my screen. Okay.
Great, it's on presentation mode now.
Yes,
Great.
okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for the invite. So I'll just give a brief background on some of the agro-processing opportunities and product development initiatives that are run by the Agricultural Research Council. So just a big background on the agro-processing sector. So agriculture and agro-processing sector are some of the crucial economic sectors that can transform the economy through sustainable employment creation, business opportunities, investment attraction, and the growing export base. The growth of the agro-processing sector has the potential to stimulate the demand for raw agricultural produce, which can ultimately contribute to income generation for farmers as part of value chain addition. So the agro-processing sector covers a wide range of post-harvest activities, from minimal processing, which includes your drying, your grinding, and your packaging, to more robust industrial and technology-intensive processing that then leads to the value-added products. Apologies for such an old statistics, but I just wanted to show the contribution of the agro-processing sector in this statistics. In 2021, the agro-processing sector actually contributed 5% of the South African GDP, with the agriculture contributing 2%. And then if we zoom in there, we see that the agro-processing sector, in terms of the different sectors within there, we find that it contributes to oil crushing, the grain milling, sugar processing, meat and fish, animal feed, and the majority of it is linked to the beverage and the beverage food and other processing products that are being included there. So then why should we invest? What is the role of South Africa in terms of agro-processing? We know that it can greatly contribute to our GDP and job creation. So in this, South Africa is actually a well-established infrastructure network that is best positioned in terms of export of the agricultural produce to the global market. And the agricultural and the agro-processing sector actually have been estimated to contribute 11% of the South African exports in terms of some of the agricultural produce. And they are seen as a global competitor in terms of their contribution. And some of the agricultural produce that have been largely part of the export industry include your citrus, your apples, your pear, and we have your wine and your table grapes. And from this, actually in 2020, South Africa was ranked amongst the top 10 largest wine producers in the world. And these wines are of high quality, as the CEO had mentioned. The quality of the wine for them or the other products to be able to go to the market or the global market has to reach a certain standard, which these exports are actually being appraised for. And some of the benefits in terms of how successful the agro-processing industry is in terms of the agriculture and the agro-processing is based on the integrated value chain systems that it has. And it has sophisticated and elaborative value chain that range from your agricultural inputs, your equipment, your packaging, your specialized logistics, up until the marketing and the retail sector. So I just want to give a general overview of how South Africa is contributing in terms of agriculture and agro-processing. Basically, all provinces are involved in this sector. You find that KwaZulu-Natal, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and Western Cape are involved in fruits and vegetable production. KwaZulu-Natal and Mpumalanga is involved in sugar production, whereby almost 70% of South Africa's sugarcane is grown within 30 kilometers of the coast of KwaZulu-Natal. And then we have Eastern Cape, Free State, Northern Cape, and Northwest contributing to the grain and livestock farming. And almost 50% of the national maize production is actually in Free State. And then we have, as previously mentioned, Western Cape having over 90% of South Africa's wine, having an over 90% estimate in terms of being a wine industry and producing different wine grapes. So now coming to the ARC mission mandates, I just want to give you a brief background in terms of ARC. So we've got various campuses that are located in all provinces. Some it's based on the research R&D that is being done within the different institutions, and then we also have in different other provinces as an agricultural institute, places in terms of the agricultural production spaces in the field. So, and in terms of how ARC works, the intention is to work in terms of a value chain system where we do agricultural production and having breeding different cultivars that could be beneficial in terms of different climate changes, improve nutritional value, beneficial in terms of health for both animals and humans. And then we go across, cut across, and then go to the processing. In terms of processing, we go all the way into the product development space. And I'll just now highlight few of the campuses, what they are doing, and some of the products that they have been involved in within also agriculture and the agro-processing sector. We've got our ARC Infritech campus in Stellenbosch. As previously said, we know Stellenbosch and Western Cape are a wine industry. So ARC is involved in actually breeding cultivars in terms of grapes, and then also in bringing in the processing of the different types of wine that are being produced there. And then they also work with various type of deciduous fruits there that actually they work on in terms of also processing them in various stages. You have drying, canning, juicing, and even jam production. And then we've got the work that has been linked to alternative crops and indigenous herbal tea. There's a lot of research and development that has gone into honeybush tea within the Stellenbosch campus. And in this work, they look at the different fermentation, and they also look at combining honeybush with even rooibos tea. And there's actually a lot of research that is going into that space in terms of sensory evaluation, consumer acceptability, and the quality of the product itself from the production up until the processing. And moving on to the second campus, it's a tropical and subtropical campus. This campus is in the Nelspruit, and within this campus, what they focus on in terms of the production and processing is the work on various fruit crops, where they work on drying and also working in terms of the production of other products that are related. So they work with various products, including your mango, and they do various cultivars in terms of these mangoes, and then process these into processed dry products, or even your acha, which is one of those common outputs from mango. And then recently we had a cultivar that actually, it's a lemon cultivar that is a seedless lemon that was developed by ARC as part of this group, and it's now going into the market. And then they also work with other different crops. They work with exotic crops and bringing in the indigenous fruits. And within some of these indigenous fruit crops, they're also doing jams with them, which means that they're bringing additional value in terms of what South Africa has, where no one can take the IP because they are indigenous, these crops, to the country. And when we move on to our small grain and crop grain institute, here they do production and processing of several types of grain. We've got your maize, your wheat, and then these are linked to institutes in Potchefstroom and in Bethlehem. And we know that ARC has been very much involved in the soybean cultivation production in terms of making sure that it's climate resistant, but it's also been very much involved in the other types of different grains that are there. And apart from the production aspect of it, and also making sure that they are suitable for the different environments, they also work towards processing, where one looks at the different types of breads or bakery goods, and then you have your different types of porridges, and even in cereals. Some of these are very much prepared in that aspect. Now, coming to the campus that I'm actually sitting in and being involved in with the work, our VIM campus here in Roodeplaat in Pretoria. This campus now focuses on the production and processing of vegetable, industrial, and medicinal plants. One of the things that has not been worked on or has not been brought much into the processing industry is medicinal plants. And we're trying to work so much into bringing the different medicinal plants, their benefits, the indigenous knowledge into the market so that these products can be processed and actually exported internationally. So other aspects of the crops that this campus works on is potato and your sweet potato. ARC has been involved for so many years in terms of the different cultivars of potatoes. Some are actually made to give high yields in terms of for the people that want to do processing in terms of your chips and stuff and other products related to that. They've got high yield. We've got sweet potato cultivars that are different. We've got purple flesh. We've got orange flesh. Orange flesh is a nutritionally added value of a type of sweet potato. So some of those we are very much involved in. And then we've started going into also bringing other different types of indigenous or African indigenous crop. We've got cassava and amadumbe. These are actually known to be gluten-free, which at most right now, there's a lot of consumers that are going into gluten-free foods because they're becoming more and more gluten intolerant. So we are actually looking at the production of some of these crops and also in the meantime, looking at the streamlining of the processing of them because as they can easily be processed into flour, but there are other aspects that we're actually working towards in terms of developing different products. And we also are working with the industrial crops. In terms of the industrial crops, we've got your cannabis, your hemp, your cotton, and other fiber crops there. And there's actually a lot of research right now that is being driven towards cultivating different hemp or cannabis plantation in different spaces and just checking their suitability. But in the meantime, we're also doing R&D in terms of the processing and also the development of products so that when those trials are completed, we also have a backing processing information that we would have done in terms of research. So our other institute focuses on animal production. Here it's our AP Institute. There's one at Irene and there's also one at the processing and production of livestock is being done there. And then in terms of the processing, they process your meat and your milk into your cheese, your yogurt, your processed meat, and other processed goods. And when it comes to some of the research also in terms of the animal health, the institute that focuses on that not only identifies some of the animal diseases that are there, but they're also working towards developing developing vaccines for them, and also helping some of the farmers diagnose some of these problematic diseases that the livestock actually struggle with during their course of production. So in general, ARC supports various communities within South Africa, and the research here is geared towards actually making South Africa aware of what possibilities are there in terms of the agricultural space, moving from the agriculture production aspect and also the agro-processing aspect. And with this, we work in terms of enterprise development and we train farmers and other beneficiaries on all this value chain kind of work that we do from agriculture all the way to your agro-processing and product development. We coordinate commercialization efforts. We conduct accredited training courses for farmers, beneficiaries, and even for some of the students within some institutions. We supervise, mentor our postgraduate students, and then they are actually exposed into a research space, but at the same time, some of the projects are linking with the communities because we want that research to then be able to go beyond and then be applied within the different communities in South Africa. And then we provide a number of services within our ARC that can benefit the communities. And These services are open to everyone in the public. They can always contact ARC. I've put some of the information there. Our website, you can call, and then they'll direct you to the relevant experts in the field so that they can help you. And we are most generous in terms of working with the different stakeholders and also working with the different farmers and beneficiaries. Thank you so much. I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ngobile. And you do say you are very generous to working with potential stakeholders, right? And I take it that's an invitation to companies that may be online, that may have gotten a light bulb moment, given what you shared with them, that your door is open. They can get in touch with your office for further discussions, yes?
Yes, they can. Thank
Is that
you.
correct? Okay. I'm just trying to see if there's any questions for you. I can't see anything for now, but I'll just check the socials as well. I'm hoping you're still online with us until the end of the program, in which case then I will rope you back in. Thank you so much for your contribution. Much appreciated. All right, and thank you. I'm hoping that you have absorbed everything, most of the stuff that Dr. Masondo shared with us, if not everything. I encourage you to, I'm hoping that you've been jotting some notes down, taking some pointers with an intention to engage her office further or her while she is still online. Just to remind you, we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, not Instagram, sorry, Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, and we also on X, as well as the Zoom platform, obviously. Thank you. And our next speaker, we'll now hear from Khaladi Sitoga, who is Innovations and Technology Consultant, and she will be looking into SEDA's support services for small enterprises in agro-processing, funding opportunities, grants, and all of that jazz. Thank you so much. Sorry for butchering your surname, but I did fix it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to this session. When I saw the invitation, I jumped at the opportunity because my first love is agro-processing. I am a food scientist by profession, and before joining SEDA, I worked for the CSIR at Biosciences Unit as an intern and eventually a food scientist. And I loved what our previous speakers have spoken about. Our CEO made mention that we only produce about 1.4 million jobs, but this sector is so good. We have so many things that we can do together to make the sector even better. Our ARC doctor has mentioned the indigenous knowledge, which is what I am very passionate about. And on my other hand, I am a proudly South African member. I have a product in the market, and it's indigenous teas of South Africa. I just want the SMMEs to know that they have an aunt at SEDA. I'm going to take you through what SEDA can do for you. As you all know, is the Small Enterprise Development Agency, and we are implementing a policy of government for small businesses. And we help you through various programs that I'm going to touch on specifically for the agro-processing. So our impact area is mostly a non-financial support. So we groom you, grow you into how to become the best business and a sustainable business with the non-financial resources mostly, but we have a sister company called CFA, the Small Enterprise Finance Agency. So we work hand in hand to make sure that when you are developed, you can have access to finance. I'm going to go through some of the programs that we have. So when you go to SEDA, I will mention the branches of SEDA in the next slides, but I'm from SEDA National Office. And what you would do when you go to a SEDA branch, just walk in. But recently, a beautiful thing is that we have launched a virtual branch. You can go to www.etuse.org.za if you don't really want to go, visit in person. But if you come to SEDA, we will start with a business talk, listen to what your aspirations are, how far you are, and give you some training and start with all the advice and everything that we have to build you and grow you to an SMME that eventually we can showcase to the world. I'll also share with you some of the international trades that we do in the agro-processing. So this is your journey. You'll visit a branch. You'll get a practitioner assigned to you. They will register you as a SEDA client, which is very important to be registered as a SEDA client, because some of our prestigious products or interventions, we then go into our database and see who have already received training, mentorship, coaching, and then we select those and then expose them, for example, to international markets. And then you will develop a business case, an intervention will be agreed upon, and then you will implement. We'll send you through to various programs that we have. And if it was, for example, a business plan that we've put together for you, we will pay for that and will monitor and evaluate and do impact on your business over time. The exciting part. So for agro-processing, we have incubations. So SEDA has more than 100 incubators in the country. And one of the incubators is BIGSA. BIGSA is the Bakery and Food Tech Incubator. They are based in Pretoria. Then we have Wakanda Food Accelerator. And then we have the Durban University of Technology Food and Nutrition Consumer Science. So if you're in Durban, you can visit them and they can do product development for you. They can do some testing for you. And then we have the art of pitching. The art of pitching will teach you how to pitch your business, how to put your business case for an investor, for someone who's interested in your business, maybe from a sales point of view. Then we have a program called Female in Technology. We have coaching and mentorship. We have technology transfer assistance. This is a grant funding of about 1.2 million. And whenever it's available, the call goes out on all the SEDA social media platforms. Then we have the export development. Okay, last year we took SMMEs to London International Food Exhibition. And I heard from our colleague from ARC mentioning that wine is a good sector for SA. And one of our SMMEs, Siwela Wine, was represented at London International Food Exhibition, just to mention a few. We'll also have another one next year. So be a client of SEDA so that you can get this information. We also do Dubai Food Show, and we also do FASIM in Mozambique. I just remembered the FASIM in Mozambique. But more interesting, what is coming up? We are going to have the Presidential SMME and Cooperative Awards. This is very big. And in this award, the president will give an award to the best SMMEs. We have 14 categories, and I am the project manager for that. And this is how we will start. We will start with the master classes in the districts. So whenever you see a call which is coming, perhaps before the end of July, we'll go live with a call. Please put your name there, put your hand up and say, I want to participate in the pitch for funding for Presidential SMME and Cooperative Awards. And I look forward to seeing more SMMEs in the agro-processing, because I know the potential that you have and that you just need someone to hold your hand sometimes and open few doors for you so that you can fully grow and have sustainable business. So the pitch for funding activation is coming along very well. We will teach you how to present your business case. And some of our judges would be from SEFA, the Small Enterprise Finance Agency, your LED banks, especially in the provinces. We are some of our sponsorships is banks, so you do win money there if you become a winner in the province. And then at the national, yes, it's that big event. And I hope to see some of you, because in the previous year, we had a young lady from KZN. She had a technology, a drone technology that can go into, their name is Field Tech, that the drone can go into different farms and survey the farm and test the soil and things like that. So we are looking for innovative SMMEs. We are looking for women-led, it's 14 categories. You're looking for youth. Just look for the one that works for you. But most importantly, remember to be a CEDA client. Okay, so the end will be around Global Entrepreneurship Week in November, and that would be a summit. This is a summit, and the awards, Presidential, SMME, and Cooperative Awards 2024. Okay, that's our branch network. Please visit us. If you're not able to visit us, www.e-chuse.org.za, and let's see how can we help you. Our incubation network, there it is, many incubators. I just mentioned the one for agro-processing, but we have many other sectors. So in total there we have 110. And I look forward to assisting you. I am very, very, very passionate about agro-processing. If you need my cell number, Proudly SA can share with you. Talk to me, let me know what you do, let me see how I can help you. I am your aunt in CEDA, I am your aunt in the industry, and I'm looking forward to holding your hand. And I know firsthand the challenges that SMMEs go through. Our doctor at ARC mentioned honeybush, which is one of my teas in the market, and a beautiful flavor. But because we don't talk more about it, it takes long for people to know that we have a tea full of antioxidants and we have many medicinal gluten-free tubers like cassava and sorghum, but we don't talk about them because sometimes it needs brand ambassadors to say, you know, we are good at this and we can do this better. And I hope to hear from you, and I'm excited of what this industry can do. And I hope that we grow those jobs from 1.4 million to many, many jobs. And I thank you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Khaladi. Much appreciated. Your contribution is greatly appreciated. Thank you. We will, shortly after our last speaker, we'll go to questions and answers that I do have from some of the attendees. But just to quickly respond to Solomon Molefe, who's asking if the presentations will be shared via email, and the answer is yes. I will request these presentations from our speakers. I am confident that they don't mind sharing them, and then our team from Proudly South African will then send to you when you request these. Thank you so much. And our last speaker, last but certainly not least, is Ms. Shipra Chisha. Am I correct? Okay, great stuff. And she is the director of programs at the Gracia Machel Trust, and she will be looking at gender transformation approaches in facilitating access to finance and markets for women in the agro-processing sector in South Africa with a clear localization approach. We are hoping that we will be agreeing soon on hosting some of your women winemakers at our local wine show coming up at the end of this month. I do know that there's communication from your office, and I'm throwing some positive energy to that discussion, and I hope that we have an agreement soon. Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Happy. And good afternoon, colleagues. Allow me first to express my deepest appreciation to Proudly South African on behalf of GMT, or the Graça Machel Trust, for the opportunity really to be part of this and to speak at this webinar today. I'm the only one who doesn't have a presentation. And I think, well, I will speak on the topic and also just touch on the work that we do as the Graça Machel Trust. And since its inception, the Graça Machel Trust has existed to look at the removal of systemic and structural barriers for women and girls. And I think there's quite a number of things that have been mentioned here today. And our role is really to advocate for removal of systemic barriers, whether in private sector, whether in government, whether with our partners. And our work has primarily centered on women and girls and economic advancement, including women entrepreneurship, development, and as well as gender lens investment. So we have a program within GMT called the Women Creating Wealth, which is a program that you were talking about, Madam Moderator. And this program looks at moving women from profit generation. We call it Women Creating Wealth, moving women from profit generation to wealth creation. And women in business, this looks at women who are in business for 2 years and above. They're making turnover of 180,000 rands per annum. And what we do is we attempt to provide a 360 solution. So we look at capacity building that goes for 10 months with the women. And then we look at how do we enable them to access finances. We know that is a challenge for our women. And also we look at how do we then help them to access markets. And I think the partners that I've listened to today will help us to do some of this. We set out to look at 5,000 women initially, which would, over 5 years, which we said would create 250,000 jobs, youth jobs in particular, adding to the 1.4 million that the CEO had mentioned, and also creating, because for us, we want this to be linked to the turnover, creating 18 billion turnover in 5 years. And this is not only in South Africa, in different countries, but South Africa being part of that. And our role, and we started last year saying we're looking at 5,000 women. This year alone, we've had partners that have approached us, and we're working at looking at 3,500 women in this year alone, in the next 3 years. So really, I think we will then exceed our target of 5,000 in the next 5 years. Our success rate, just sharing one of the experiences that we've had of the woman who's gone through our program, and the woman who's looked at who has succeeded in implementing our program was a lady called Esther, who's in poultry business, who started with 4 employees and looking at 500, she was then making 540,000 rands, and with only 4 employees. Couple of years, part of the success being credited to our program. She's now making 27 million per annum, 24 direct employees, and we know that the indirect expands over 100. This is just one of many of the women that have gone through this program. So this topic for us is crucial to the growth and development of agro-processing sector, and even much more critical. I think it was mentioned by the CEO that this sector is really crucial for our economy, much more critical to the women in the agribusiness. So as the Graça Machel Trust, we're keen to amplify women's movement, influence governance, and promote women's contribution and leadership in Africa's economic and social development agenda. This then includes our agribusiness. So we have networks in 18 countries, including South Africa. One of the networks that we have is Women in Finance, who look at advocating for finance and access for women. We have women in agriculture. We have women in media. We have women in green energy and climate, but in particular the women in agriculture, because agriculture for us is the backbone of Africa's economy, as looking at employing 60% of the continent's workforce. So it's responsible for producing 60 to 80% of the continent's food. And I think that really is critical. Women have always played a critical role in agriculture and in Africa. This was shared recently by the African Development Bank. And I think Dr. Ngobile said that, as I said, it's a crucial sector for our economy. Agro-processing sector is one of the strategic sectors with potential contribution to achieving inclusive growth in South Africa. And this has been mentioned by my colleagues over and over again. According to a study by the University of Pretoria, the overall contribution of agro-processing to the national GDP is sitting at 5.7%, and the figures might have changed. And about 3% of farmers are trained in food processing. So the small-scale agriculture and aquaculture sectors are not well established, with land reforms being the leading issue, which we have experienced. Women continue to face significant barriers that hinder their meaningful participation in the sector, and also, as the CEO had highlighted, the value chains. So the CEO mentioned that we need more entrepreneurs to tap into opportunities that are presented through these value chains. And again, really appreciate the work that is being done by yourselves, which is really looking at private sector and looking at government and looking at how we can unpack these value chains for the benefit of our people. And I'd like to highlight some of the successes and challenges affecting women now in agricultural value chains, as documented in our study on the gender transformative approaches in agribusiness, which was conducted by the Graça Machel Trust in South Africa. So looking at firstly, the success is looking at product innovation. We've had a project that we've done, which is Fair for All, in partnership with Oxfam, which had a significant impact on local agricultural practices, value addition, and production along the value chains. So, for example, entrepreneurs like Ms. Lungisa, who produces herbal remedy called Defender, some of you might know from the Eastern Cape, have been empowered by the project to expand their agricultural activities into innovative, or to innovate their product line and effectively meet their market demands. Some of our women, such as aspire to further enhance. One of our entrepreneurs, her impact on community. She had to secure a place which is currently being, where she currently furnishes her produce. But her vision, and most of our women's vision, is really to create a market space for local farmers, where women, in particularly in areas that are outside the urban areas, to sell their organic vegetables and produce, and also initiative to reduce food wastage and increase access to more profitable markets, thus providing the sustainable income for many local farmers. I like the concept. I like the presentation that was done by CEDA, because I think there's more innovative ways of assisting our women to really do this, and to also look at things such as packaging and how to access these markets. And I think in partnership, we will be able to achieve these. These are women who acquire or who require assistance from processes that were mentioned by Proudly South African. Now, we looked in this study at barriers to access, and that was the key part that I wanted to share with the audience today, that as much as there are successes in what we are doing, and the women are really are succeeding through the capacity building, and also some of them access to finance and enabling women to access markets, but they are dealing with quite a number of challenges as well. Through our study, under the Fair for All, which I've just mentioned, looking at agricultural value chains, the project aimed at advancing women inclusive business practices in citrus, in table wine, in poultry, and vegetable agricultural value chains. So we discovered the following: that there are pertinent power dynamics in the agricultural sector. And some of these are pertinent of the persistent of the intra-household dynamics and the power relations that affect women to be vibrant in the value chain exists. So, for example, in the areas such as the Eastern Cape, especially in the rural settings at household level, men are still considered the breadwinners, as we would know, while women are responsible for managing the home. The women also took time to give an account on how power dynamics play out in value chain agricultural sector. It was highlighted to us that as women in small-scale farming hiring men came with its barriers, such as demanding wages before the completion of work because they feel that they deserve that, abusive language that is being used towards women. And in the Eastern Cape, for example, they would refer to a person who owns the farm as lamfazi. Some of you might know what that means, as a way of really demeaning a status and a stature of the woman who owns the farm. So as a result, one of the participants explained that she resorted to dressing like a man on the market days, just to gain the respect and have her goods really bought on the day that she goes to market. So really, these are some of the things that women are facing. Second one is prevailing institutional bias in relation to accessing products and productive assets and resources. So while the laws around land provision have evolved in South Africa, the issue of land ownership was highlighted by women involved in the value chain as a main hindrance in acquiring adequate land to farm vegetables and also to keep their livestock. Land tenure system and property ownership practices dictate that men household members have access, control, and ownership of the land. So it emerges that traditional land is owned by men, and women's access to land was through marriage. And this has a negative implication on the bargaining power within the household, and even worse for single women with children, because they do not have access to this and are not allowed to own. Furthermore, their emerging voices illuminated how rural women are the main source of the workforce in the agricultural sector, yet land ownership remains in the hands of men. So these are some of the challenges some of our women are facing, and we're dealing with this in different areas and how to resolve. Then the third point for us was the cumbersome requirements when seeking credit facilities and finance. Women alluded that obtaining a loan from the IDC, for example, requires a 50% investment from a business, with 40% being grant and 10% of the business owner's contribution, as we know the credit facilities within our country. So while this seems feasible, it was highlighted that financiers often prioritize large-scale businesses, making it challenging for our small-scale businesses and women-owned businesses to meet this projected financial requirement. Now, we would remember that South Africa has got it's one of the countries, we've got 55 member states in the continent, and we only have about, I think 38 do not have the financial inclusion strategy as well as the financial inclusion policy. But South Africa is one of the countries that has the financial inclusion strategy and policy, and in particular focusing on women. So some of these gaps are things that we're looking at and highlighting. So whereas in the Eastern Cape, the women noted that the requirement by banks made it really hard to get funding or credit. Moreover, most of the women in the value chain businesses used permission to occupy, which banks did not value as collateral, when one applied for credit facilities. Now we can discuss quite at length as GMT on issues around collateral, but I think in another platform and in another forum. The next one for us was limited bargaining power. Women smallholder farmers have limited bargaining power in setting prices. There is often a preference to negotiate with farmers, in particular white male farmers, that can produce at large scale. And given the perishable nature of vegetable, women are often concerned or cornered into being price takers. The next one is a really disproportionate impact of climate change on women and other farmers as well. Climate change continues to alter the agricultural landscape in South Africa. As we know, it is a case in Africa, more so as it has disproportionate impact on women based on their intersecting identities. Now, due to the gender social norms, women smallholder farmers immediately feel the impact of climate change because they've got other issues that are dealing with outside of climate change. As was in the case in 2019, drought, many women in this project shared how a lot of the crop had been destroyed due to these changing in weather patterns. As a result, many women are pushed into poverty and very little chance of recovery due to lack of access to resources and above-mentioned intersecting factors. Now, having mentioned all these, what do we think should be, as the Graça Machel Trust, a call to action with the stakeholders that we have with us today? So from our experience with working with women in agriculture as the Graça Machel Trust, we think and believe that we need to truly transform the agro-processing sector and make them inclusive. We must do the following, which are few that we're thinking about. Pay attention to women's voices and experiences as they seek to navigate these markets, and also ensure that their representation and participation in decision-making is considered. We need to look at government and business and government, adopt gender transformative business practices. Now we know that these are all documented, but we need to just make sure that these are really practiced and penalty if required, if not done, in an attempt to shift negative social, cultural, and gender norms in the value chains and continue to identify these gender gaps. Whilst developing evidence-based policies, we must be intentional in ensuring that people who live the experiences are in the room and drive the solutions of change, and also to challenge this, the status quo. And businesses must commit to advancing gender equity as fundamental sources of value creation. And as business, we must work towards being gender transformative. Again, I'm saying that we do have the laws around land ownership, and we do have the laws around all other aspects. But when we get to the rural areas and we get to the communities, we see that there's still a gap that needs to be, there's still changes that needs to be done. So this must be modeled through intentionality in producing services, goods for women-owned businesses. And I think with Proudly South African, again, in order for us to get to equity, we need to also identify that developing financial products that meet the needs of women in a bid to improve financial inclusion. So financial inclusion, we know in the continent, is quite a critical discussion. The AU, the African Union, is currently looking at WIFE, which is a Women Youth Financial Economic Inclusion, raising $100 billion that will help 10 million women and youth in the continent. So we know that this is an ongoing discussion. So we need to really be intentional and look at why in a country with both the policy and the strategy, we still have gaps that we are looking at. As business and government and communities to challenge negative gender norms in a bid to transform these, ensure that women at grassroots level acquire equal access to land ownership and constitutionally mandated. Investing in financial literacy for our women, business-to-business networking, which I think CEDA is doing very well, and Proudly South African is taking a role to make sure that we really amplify and assist us to get our women to this point. And mentorship opportunities for women-owned businesses in a bid to grow their businesses. But I think we need to start from assisting them to get to this point. And I think my colleagues and Ms. Ngobile also mentioned what her company is doing to really, really assist our women to get to this point. And as I close, I just would like to announce that the Graça Machel Trust is keen on establishing an Africa Women in Agribusiness network in South Africa. We do have in other countries, we do not have one in South Africa. That will be keen in converging relevant women in agricultural business networks in South Africa to collectively advance their interest in their agro-processing sector. Moving women from subsistence farming, we always say, to profit-generating businesses, because we know that the start is not a problem, but it's just getting from that subsistence farming to really the next level of profit generating. We are grateful to Proudly South African for planning this information webinar and looking forward to partnering with like-minded stakeholders. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Shipra, for your invaluable information. Thank you. I feel like we should have recorded you, no slides, but, just spoke from the heart, but just such incredible information that you've shared with us. Actually, this is being recorded. It is being recorded. So in case somebody, requests to have a listen again to what you shared with us, you do incredible work. And we are on behalf of Proudly South African, I'm pleased that we are starting to find each other, in the work that you do, and you can use us, in our relationship going forward as a vehicle to unpack the work you do, because many of us, are not inclined and exposed to great work you do. So here's to great things that we will potentially do together. Thank you so much for your time, my sister. And now I'm going to, there's a few questions on social media platforms and on the official chat box, and I'm going to quickly just have a look, and then I will direct the question to the speaker that it is intended for. And I'm going to quickly just have a intended for. All right. Apologies for that. I'm trying to navigate these social media spaces. And so there is a question from Local Roots Africa. Loving the presentation. You've just recently became a member of ProudlySA. You retail local designs and products, and you've been operating since 2021 online. And also, how can we further collaborate with ProudlySA as a member to further grow, as we may be getting into a space of needing to create employment soon? Thanks for that, Local Roots Africa. So, my response to you on behalf of Proudly South African, because the CEO has had to, jump onto another commitment, is that seeing that you've just joined, welcome, first of all, to the Buy Local movement. What we do encourage at Proudly South African, with so many members that we do have, we encourage a doctor-patient kind of relationship where generally when you're not well as a patient, you would reach out to your doctor and say, I think I need to come and see you. The doctor won't know that you may need help. So 2 things that, in response to your question is that please get accustomed to reaching out to us, writing to our PR team and saying, this is what I'm doing for my product. I have a promotion coming up. I'm planning something. Please, can you assist me from an awareness perspective? There's things we can't do for members. And when you do join as a member, we make it clear that there's things that we are not in a position to do. For example, we don't fund, we don't do your marketing for you. We don't do those kind of things. At times, there may be a gray area, but what we do is to identify sector-specific access to market opportunities for your product. So, we will invite you to, for example, the Buy Local Summit every year in March at no cost to you, for you to be exposed to many, many buyers from retail space, unending PR opportunities on television, on radio, and all of that. But even in between the 12-month period, we invite you to webinars such as this. We invite you to sector, for example, during festive season, all lifestyle brands that we have, we, put them out on social media platforms at no cost to you. But I do want to encourage that when you do have something that you're organizing, talk to us about it, and we may not, be able to take care of your immediate need, depending what it is. We don't have the money to do it. We want to create a marketing campaign for you, but we will always find a way to step in and assist you somewhat within the constraints of our budgets and what it is that we can do. Thank you so much. I'm hoping that assists. Sorry, and there's a question for, sorry, give me 1 second. Dr. Masondo. This is a cereal manufacturer, and they want to know how they could be assisted in developing more innovative products, and how do they get access to your services. Please come back online, Dr. Masondo. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question. So you can contact us in ARC. We do actually advise or walk through some of the SMMEs in terms of product development, so that they're able to, once the prototypes are completed and they're happy with the product, they can go and then go do the further marketing and aspects as in the production parts, because we as ARC do not do the production, but we actually do work with SMMEs in terms of assisting them in that whole period or that whole point in terms of developing products. We've got our rules and regulations in terms of that, but once we assign you to the relevant group that you can speak to, they will explain to you. And then I think there was something in terms of funding. So if you have funding from your own personal cost, we do assist in terms of the services that we can provide. But within ARC as a whole, we don't really, we're not really able to financially offer funds in terms of such works, but we work or advise, and we work with, even CEDA, we've worked with the company or companies that are actually able to financially assist an individual, and then they then do some of the work with us. But we are also price-wise in terms of assisting with some of those things. The other factors that are linked to some of that work in terms of IP and all that factor, but that becomes easier when well explained to you by the relevant parties, and also hearing what type of products do you want to develop. Are you coming with your own aspect, or do you want ARC to innovate and make a product for you? Or do you want a joint formation between ARC and yourself to work on that product? So I hope I did answer the question very well, but please do liaise with the ARC and tell them the products that you want to develop, and then they'll actually, as I showed that there's a lot of campuses within ARC, they'll put you right through to the relevant persons.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Masondo. Don't go away. There's another one straight after that. From the first question was Ayetaba. Ayetaba, we're hoping that you got the answer you may be looking for. The next question is from Matejo Melesi, who says, Dr. Masondo, can ARC take businesses for incubation, test products, and what are the grants available? Yeah, they're in the bakery and food industry.
Okay, in terms of the incubation, if it's incubation related to funds, in a sense, it's not easy for ARC to move forward with some of those things. But again, when discussed very well, for one to know where ARC can contribute and where you want to contribute, there are some works where one can look at how best to meet you as a client in terms of assisting in that space of the incubation. But when we also look in terms of the testing and all that, we do have labs that actually test various types of food products for different tests that one wants. We have labs in Irene, and we also even have here in Vimp. It depends what types of tests you want. But sometimes also, if you're not too sure in terms of what you want to do in those tests, we do also recommend, because we do work with the different products in order to assist and help that you test relevant, you do relevant tests for your products, especially in terms of the bakery or food industry that you are making mention of. I hope I answered the question to your satisfaction.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Masondo. And I do have another question, and I would imagine, okay, first things first, CEDA, there's a request from Tepang for your email address, please, my colleague from CEDA. Would you like to read it out to us, or will you type it up in the chat box? Oh, there you go. Yeah,
I have shared. Thank you, Chair. I have shared my email address with Jacobeth. It's
okay.
It's ksetoha@ceda.org.za.
Okay, please say that again.
ksetoha@ceda.org.za.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. Failing which, Jaco, who has been who's the coordinator of this session, has got the details. There's a question from one of our members, Kieran, and they run a packaging company, and she would like a plug and be connected to Agi Group. Anybody, any of our speakers online, if you are able to assist, please, with linking them up to Agri Group. Can anybody assist? Okay, none of our speakers are able to connect you with the Agri Group, but please do write to Jaco at ProudlySA. We will try and find the relevant person for you to talk to at Agri Group. We'll do a bit of digging and researching to see in an effort to find you somebody you can talk to. And then this question is also for anybody, any of our speakers, from Amelia Rampadi. She is from Maximo Biodiesel, manufacturing biodiesel using cooking oil rather. And they also process castor oil. And in terms of agro-processing, do you only look at food industry or all industries? Anybody can take it away, please, within your structure of work. Dr. Masondo?
Okay, I can just, so with ARC, each person or each campus deals with various aspects. So I see it seems like the question is sort of like twofold. In terms of biodiesel, our NRE group in Pretoria works a lot in terms of that. In terms of the processing of castor oil, it depends what you want to process it for. Because in our VIMP medicine, we do work with some of the essential oils or some of the oils that are linked to different products. So I think maybe the clarity there in terms of the castor oil, what it is, but you can still liaise in terms of finding or sending an email to our sending an email to ARC, and then they will put you to the relevant people.
Thank you so much, Dr. Matsondo. Amelia, I'm hoping that covered your question. I do not seem to have any other comment that I can spot immediately, and the time now is 11:38. We scheduled to conclude the session at 11:40. So we did great on time. Thank you so much to all our speakers. May I please request that you come back, switch on your cameras again as we conclude the discussion for this morning, as I do the closing remarks. Team Proudly South African, I have not missed anything, I hope. If there is, please, when you do spot it, let me know. But I've been trying to navigate all social media platforms. And so it gives us, this brings us to the end of this obviously very, necessary discussion, critical discussion that looked into, localization, innovation, access to market opportunity in the agro-processing space, which in my view, is really an ongoing discussion that should be had. Soon again, hopefully. And maybe next time around, we can have a physical interaction so we get to meet and see some of the products in that space. So this comes from somebody who's very broke, by the way. And we know that those physical interactions need money. So I'm throwing it to our stakeholders and see maybe that, in the next quarter, the next 3 months or so, maybe we can put something together. If we all contribute 2,000 rand, to making it happen, I'm sure we can all afford that. And so On behalf of Proudly South African, I'd like to really thank all the speakers for hitting our call and showing up and, as experts in your different fields to come and impart knowledge. It doesn't help us if we don't impart knowledge and we keep it amongst ourselves. We will have failed in our duties as stakeholders that have an obligation and a responsibility to contribute to the difference that we want to see in as far as the economy is concerned. So thank you so much to everybody that joined us on all platforms. You could have been anywhere this morning, but you also heeded the call. And we hope that if you are in business and in this sector specifically, you walk away today with with information that you will be able to utilize. We're hoping that this discussion has triggered something that is likely to assist you run a profitable business going forward, or at least amplify your efforts rather as a local business. Thank you so much. And your parting shot, Dr. Masondo?
Thank you very much to Proudly South African for actually organizing such a very intriguing webinar. I myself, I would say I'm very happy because you contributed a lot into Proudly South African products, and that is what we as AFC are trying to bring in there, that we are capable as South Africans and Africans to do our own products and then export and have a very fruitful outcome from that, rather than exporting and then coming back and only getting products that are being sold at a very high price. So just getting this initiative in terms of putting the impact and the value of why should we do agro-processing or production on our side is very important, and I commend you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sis. We truly appreciate it, and have a great day further. Thank you. And Ms. Shipra, your parting shot, please. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think I echo my colleagues' remarks that we really are grateful to you for organizing this, and we're looking forward to the next one in 3 months. I'm sure we can all make it happen. But I think I think as we have said today, that really collaboration for me is what's going to get us to the point where we want to be. And I always echo the voice of my founder, who always say that we cannot make a difference with 100 fragmented voices. So GMT plays a very big role in advocacy and making sure that policy will influence policy, and there are changes around policy to enable our women to access these resources. So it is with collaboration with the like of our partners to access markets, with the like of you as partners to make sure that when our women have access to markets, they are able to realize the value from the markets. So we really are grateful to you, and I hope that with collaboration and not having 100 fragmented voices, but jointly, we will be able to make a difference. Much appreciated.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your contribution and for your closing remarks. Truly appreciate it. And you're right. When we collaborate, the impact is bigger. That's for sure. Thank you. And last but not least, in fact, I've just noticed that it's a bunch of women that contributed to this discussion. Obviously, CEO was there, but it's great. It's great. It's really great to see this. Ms. Kaladi, your parting shot.
Thank you very much. Yes, as SIDA, we are available for collaboration, and we work through the ecosystem partners to get the resources that is mostly needed to get to our SMMEs. So we are really looking forward to working with you, to working with Graham Michel's organization and ARC. We've been working with them quite extensively, and we're looking forward for more work together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kaladi. Much appreciated. And a word from the CEO as well says that he's grateful and appreciate the fact that you you walk this journey with us, you know, for the most times when we go out there and push our localization agenda as Proudly South African. Thank you so much, everybody. Those of you online, all the speakers, keep warm. It's still freezing out there, except for the people in the other country in KZN. I don't know if they know what winter is about, but anyway. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a lovely afternoon further. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you so much. Bye.